Well, we have some severe weather potential in the northern plains today and tonight, and we are watching the tropics. Hawaii will be dealing with another tropical system, and the Atlantic is picking up in activity. So we have a slight risk of severe weather today across much of central and southern Minnesota into northern Iowa. Risk of a couple isolated tornadoes with some initial storm development late this afternoon, and also the risk of some large hail and primarily a damaging wind threat here as we head into the evening hours. And these are similar areas that got storms Monday night and early Tuesday. So the setup is a long cool front here that stretches across the eastern Dakotas into Nebraska and Colorado with a low pressure center kind of right around it. And that is going to be the focus for storms here. Already a broken line of storms early today, but we're going to see these fill in through the afternoon and evening hours, and line of storms that will develop here with potential for some damaging wind gusts, some bow echoes once again, in addition to some large hail. But the nice thing with cold fronts is it's kind of a one and done thing. You get that initial line of storms and then that's really it. But we are going to see the potential for some severe wind gusts here, maybe in excess of 60 miles an hour. This does not look quite as severe as the setup as we had on Monday, however. Another thing we're watching is the Atlantic. It is starting to pick up. It's been eerily quiet considering it's the peak of the season, but we are watching. This is the intertropical convergence zone where these tropical systems tend to develop, and there is a mass of storms there that is starting to get potentially more organized here. 40% chance of cyclone formation in this area here over the next 7 days, but beyond 7 days, it could be looking a little bit more likely that we see some tropical storm force conditions here. So this is the European ensemble models, and as we head into next weekend in the Caribbean somewhere, we could be dealing with a tropical storm or greater. So this is the European model. Again, kind of a massive rain showers here, but you can see the center starting to get organized as it heads towards the Caribbean here. And then this is Tuesday, and then through next week, it's going to kind of meander into the Gulf and the Caribbean here, getting close to Cuba, Dominican Republic, and then maybe we'll be watching potentially somewhere in the U.S. or Gulf of Mexico as we head into late next week. But Hawaii is dealing with more systems here. They had Hone last week, but there's the remnants of Gilma here just to the east of the islands. It's going to be moving through. Tropical storm right now, and as it reaches Hawaii, it's probably going to weaken, not expected to be a hurricane or even a tropical storm, but any of these tropical islands that have topography similar to like Puerto Rico, you can get some really dangerous flooding conditions. So it's going to be a tropical depression. The center of it will pass just north of most of the islands, but again, because of those mountainous or that mountainous terrain in Hawaii, you can get mudslides and some locally heavier rainfall amounts. So this is the remnants of Gilma. The center and the strongest winds will head north of the islands, but they are going to see some of the heavy rainfall across the islands, especially on the higher terrain of Maui, Molokai, and maybe even Oahu and Kauai eventually as we head into the rest of the weekend. So that's what we'll be watching, is that potential for flooding concerns. So all these red areas are 2 to 3 inches of rainfall. That's sort of the average in the models, but there will be those locally higher amounts in some of those mountainous regions, and that's where we'll have to watch out for flooding and mudslide concerns. So you can kind of see some of these purplish areas in Maui and Molokai. That's several or more inches of rain, maybe a foot of rain possible in some of those mountainous areas. So Hawaii getting more rain from yet another tropical system, not very common there, and some severe weather in the northern plains.